problem.
I'm just trying to figure out this.
Ready to go? All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regular August 11th session of the Jackson Board of Selectmen here. Thanks for coming. We're glad you're here. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes from past meetings. We have the June 9th meeting minutes that we still have to approve those. We're going to carry that over because they're not in, but we do have the July 28th meeting minutes from our public session. And don't know if you've had a chance to look those over or not. I do have one correction here of note, and that is visitors. On the first page, we misidentified Police Officer Andrew Copeland and we called him Officer Ryan McDonald. So I'll make that edit. It was actually Andrew that was here, not his twin brother. And that's the only change or edit I had. Dick, did you find anything when you went there?
No, I stuck to content and I didn't find anything.
Great, okay, well, entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the July 28th public
I
session.
would make that motion.
And I'll second it, since John is not here, feeling under the weather, not able to join us. All those in favor, say aye. Very good. Next up, we have two sets of meeting minutes from non-public session of the same date, July 28, 2016. First set of minutes was determined to be sealed, so I'll have you initial that. Second set of minutes was left unsealed. Those were the minutes I read into the record in the public session of the meeting. Hi, Damon. Last 2 weeks ago. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the unsealed minutes from our non-public session on July 28, 2016.
I would make that motion.
Okay. So I'll second that, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and it's very good. I'll just initial on there. Those are unsealed. Motion did not pass. You can just finish that anyway. That's fine. We don't even need to do that since we talked about it. All right. Excellent. Okay, update on action items. I'm not sure if we had any action items carry over or not. Well, John had one. He was going to find out about the sign at the entrance to the transfer station. So we'll carry that one over. And that was the only action item on here. Other than that, I'll just announce our upcoming scheduled public meetings that we have on tap. One more for this month, and that's Thursday, August 25th at 4 o'clock. Our September meetings are Thursday, September 8th at 4 o'clock, Thursday, September 22nd at 4 o'clock. And our October meetings currently scheduled are Thursday, October 13th at 4 p.m. and Thursday, October 27th at 4 p.m. All those meetings are held right here in this room, and we hope you can join us for those. So then we'll go right to agenda item 3, police report. Andrew, you want to come on up and report in? Let us know how the 2-week period's gone.
Yep. If you guys don't know me, I'm Officer Andrew Copeland here with Jackson Police Department. In the absence of the chief, I'm the senior ranking officer in the department, which now consists of just myself and Officer Ryan McDonald. I want to say that I'm not here to talk about the investigation or the chief at all. I'm just here to give the report. Basically, myself and Officer McDonald, we wanted just to show the people of the town that even in the absence of the chief, Your calls for service are being answered and all investigations are being handled, and the town is still being covered. We're still providing coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This department has always taken great pride in doing so, providing full coverage for this town. And also, we are not contracting any additional coverage at this time from any other agencies, so there'll be no incurred expenses to the town. As for the report, obviously, at the last meeting, it was announced that our animal control officer, Officer Orsini, has resigned. So with that being said, all the duties of the ACO are now being distributed to myself and Officer McDonald. We've had 2 dog bites, which are being handled, and I just wanted to make a note that it is hunting dog season right now, so we've had a lot of complaints about people seeing what they consider stray dogs in the woods. They're not, they're just people with their hounds, either training them for hunting or hunting with them. The covered bridge dance was a success. Went down without any events as usual. We've seen increase in traffic in town with the summer and the warm weather. We've had more motor vehicle accidents, 4 to total since the last police report. We received several complaints about parking at the Jackson Falls. We're handling that by increasing our patrol presence in the area and just trying to be proactive with assisting with parking rather than issuing parking citations and, taking away from the tourism in the area. On a more serious note, we had some suspicious activity and a burglary that occurred in the area of Carter Notch. Some people might be aware that last year there was also a few burglaries in the Carter Notch area. So we're urging residents to lock their doors, and if you have a security alarm, to use it. We're not trying to alarm anybody at this time. It's still a very safe area, but the common denominator with most of these break-ins is that people leave their houses unsecure and somebody just walks in the front door when you go away for a walk or something like that. So we're just encouraging people to be proactive. And again, this is being handled by increased patrol presence in the area of Carter Notch, as well as the department has placed some cameras in key areas with landowner permission to try to capture any additional suspicious activity. So in closing, I want to say that the Jackson Police Department has and always has had an open door policy. So I encourage all residents with any questions or concerns to either contact myself or Officer McDonald at any time, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have or help you out with anything. We'd also like to thank the residents and business owners that have contacted us with their support, not just with the matters going on with this investigation, but just with law enforcement as a whole. And in closing, Chief Jetty's vision of a more community-oriented police department will continue to be fulfilled. So, thank you.
Are you able to tell us where on Carter Notch the break-in was?
No, I'm not going to release the specific address, but it was in the Jackson Falls area. So we're following up on some leads. It's an ongoing investigation.
And to piggyback on to Officer Copland's police report, I will just make quick mention that before we go to public comments, that we have requested that the Belknap County Sheriff's Department conduct an internal investigation into allegations made against the chief by a town staff member. And they have agreed to conduct an internal investigation. The investigation that's currently being done by the Carroll County Sheriff's Department is an external investigation. And so knowing that all, some, or none of that investigation may be shared with us moving forward, it has been agreed by the Selectmen and our town attorney that the next best steps forward for the town is to conduct an internal investigation, which is standard investigation procedure. So the Belknap County Sheriff's Office investigator will be starting maybe tomorrow even, we're not sure. And he will also be in communication with the Carroll County Sheriff's Department to review parts of their investigation and the results of their investigation that will be in a report form, any or all parts of that he will be allowed to take a look at. In addition, that is somewhat related, there was a right-to-know request form filled out by Sarah on August 1st. Interested in a few things. She wanted to know if we are paying for supervisory assistance through the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. And if we are, what is the amount being paid? We are not paying any money to the Carroll County Sheriff's Department for any increased services that they've provided for us. She wanted to see and copy timesheets of the police and town crew for June, July 2016. Those were provided for you, and then wanted to know if all officers, part or full-time, police who went through training certification, do not fulfill required time period for town, do they have to pay back the town monies if used? I think what you meant by if used is if they don't fulfill their obligatory service to the town. And full-time officers that go into the police academy that don't complete the academy need to compensate the town $2,500. Full-time officers that do complete the academy are obligated to serve for a 3-year period for the town. And if they do not fulfill their 3-year requirement, there's a $10,000 compensation fee and those are all regulations that are in place. So we felt like that was the information you were looking for on that. And so I'll move right to public comments, agenda item number 4. Anyone have any? Joyce?
Well, I was interested in Andrew's report because to me, the biggest crime in Jackson in the last few years, well, what there has been, are burglaries. And I think that your increased presence in the town, patrolling the streets and our streets, I think is very important, and I'm really glad to hear that you're doing that, perhaps with even more frequency. So thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Stan, did you handle up?
Will we be paying Belknap County for their investigation?
No. If we were to handle the internal investigation through a private agency or law firm, there would be a charge, but there will not be a charge for that because it's being handled by the Sheriff's Department. Yeah?
Are there hours that somebody's in the police office? Is there, like, because, is there a set time?
Yeah, all shifts are covered.
No, that,
So we do have regular hours that we post. You can
post on
see.
town website or no?
Andrew, where are the hours posted?
The administrative hours were normally Monday to Friday, I believe like 8 until 3. But now in the absence of the chief, those are hours that are not all going to be filled, but we're still providing coverage because we take call hours. And so with just the two of us, we've started coming in a little earlier, so probably any time between noon and 4 o'clock Monday to Friday, there should be somebody available in the office. If you need to get hold of us at any time, you can always contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Office dispatch number, which I can provide to you and we'll be able to get us.
It was just for a question. I'm looking towards getting a gun permit, and they said you needed to go into the police department office.
Yeah, come down after the meeting.
Sarah?
Yes, I was just wondering if there was any further information on Mr. Leader and the project that they were doing and the paperwork that they had to give to you on the septic, I believe it was.
Gino?
Yeah, didn't the last town meeting in March, the town approved 2 police officers for 1,000 hours duty a year? I think one of them was the person that quit, but there was another person that I thought approved at the time that would have brought the complement up at the 5 for those 1,000 extra hours each. That's what I thought.
Okay.
What, was it?
Any other comments? Yeah.
Is the Carroll County Sheriff's Office still doing the supervisory role that we talked about last week?
Yeah,
Okay.
that hasn't changed. Any other
About, there's one more, pistol permits, are they, It's my understanding that a chief of police is the one who can authorize those, but considering the situation we're at, can the supervising officer do that instead?
The chief or his designate.
Okay.
Another hand?
We just had 2 questions asked, for which there was no response, and I understand 2 or 3 times now since you've become chairman, you made it clear that public comments are for comments, and that you probably won't respond most of the time. Although it does seem as though it would be nice to just have a courteous response like, well, we're not going to answer that or something, but I would like to go on the record as saying that it's a really sad day for Jackson, in my opinion. When the public takes time to come here and ask questions that virtually all the time are ignored. It did not used to be that way when other people were chairman. We have, 810 people in this town. And I just don't really understand why now, if you have a question that you hope to get answered, you have to request that it be put on the agenda. I might expect this in Boston or other cities like that. But I just want to make it clear for the record that I think it's a really sad day, that it has now become, in my opinion, sort of an us versus you. You know, you can ask what you want, but we're not going to answer most of the time. And I just think it's really sad.
So I'll restate the policy again, just so it's clear, and I know this has been stated several times, is that we accept any and all comments, and we batch them up. And when public is done with the comment section, we respond to any and all comments that we have responses to. And I will just give you an example of the June 28th meeting. We had, I think, somewhere between 6 and 8 comments, and there were responses given to each and every one of them. And those are the typical rules of order that lots of governing bodies stick to. And so it may be different than a back and forth dialogue than what people are used to, but, and again, and I said it last week, I'm available for any questions and concerns between the end of this meeting and the beginning of next meeting, and I am 603-986-3411. If you don't remember that, you can call the town office and they'll get a hold of me. I'm easy to get a hold of and happy to address anyone's questions and concerns between meetings, and happy to respond to any public comments during meetings that I have responses to. And so I'll go ahead and invite you, Dick. Is there anything in the public comment portion of this meeting that you'd like to respond to?
No, other than the idea that questions are not being answered. I hope they are. I haven't been here long enough to really keep track of it, but I would certainly, in my time space, answer any questions the residents of town might have. I agree. We're a small enough town that all the questions should be answered, and people should feel a connection to the select board. And I think that being responsive is the way to do that. So if it comes up, I certainly will do my part.
And my responses would be for Gino. What we had in the budget at the town meeting that was voter approved was enough money in that budget for 2 part-time officers. There was not a second part-time officer ever hired or trained. It is my understanding that there was a search that was done, and they didn't really feel like they had a quality of applicant. I know when I came on board here as a selectman, there was a part-time officer who was primarily focused on, most of his time was eaten up with electronics, making sure that the office had technology. He had a technology background and a part-time police officer certification, as well as making sure the technology in the cars was up to speed. I know he worked on cars as well. He did not have regular patrol hours. Neither did the part-time officer that has resigned, so we haven't lost any coverage there. The extra coverage that's in place right now is to cover the chief's regular shifts. So we haven't lost any coverage there either. So we've got another public comment section later on down, and we'll invite comments there as well. Sarah, you had a comment. What was you had a question?
I was just wondering if any paperwork had been followed up on Mr. Weeder's.
Right, he's actually, is that on the agenda,
Yeah,
Julie?
it's on your agenda, it was added late.
Okay, yeah, I've got a 7D that was added late on my agenda, and we'll be talking about that septic approval then, okay? Unless you want to talk about it now, and I can just move it right up, really. I mean, it's for your information, we granted the Weeder approval to change that house designation from a one-bedroom to a two-bedroom on the condition that he provide us with an updated septic plan, and that came in this week and now is on file with the office here. So, moving on, is Kevin here? Building inspector's report. Kevin, you want to come up?
Sure. A couple new building permits this week. One is, let me see, our map 19 lot 7, the end of Cotter Notch Road. It says replacement kitchen cabinets. It's basically a redo in the kitchen, electrical and plumbing too. And building permit number 2, it's up on Eagle Mountain Road, map 12, lot 42. It's building a detached garage. And I had a couple other coming this week, but they haven't been processed yet.
Okay, we'll look for them next time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Anything else for your report?
No. That's about it in town.
Okay, great.
All right.
Short and sweet. Thanks, Kevin. Anything to add to the building inspector's report? All right. Comments or questions for the building inspector before we move on? Okay. New business. We've got a trustees of the trust fund withdrawal request. So I'll entertain a motion on the withdrawal request here to provide, withdraw the following from the trust funds as indicated, 400, we got 441.77.00.
Oh, sorry.
Is it $441.77? Okay. Shall I scratch those zeros and initial it? And so this will still be a document that works? Okay. All right, so now we're at $441.77 from the Bridge Repair Expendable Trust Fund 0034 for the Home Depot, and that's dated July 1st, 2016. And $1,434.84 from the Bridge Repair Expendable Trust Fund, same number, 0034, to Hancock Lumber, dated July 31st, 2016, invoice 1163738, and I'll entertain that motion.
I would make that motion.
And I'll second it. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Very good. Thank you.
Anything you want to sign on the other pages?
Those are just copies of the invoices.
Okay. Very good. And it is just for your information, and we're going to be getting this out, probably posting this and putting it on e-news, right? Okay. So that Conway Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day is coming up, and that this year will be on September 17th. And that is from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. I think there's a limit. There's a 10-gallon limit per household on waste that they'll take. So mark that on your calendars if you've got hazardous waste coming up, and look for it on e-news if you subscribe, because we'll be posting that as well. Want to recognize the MS-60 has been done, and that's been signed by our accountants, and that is the audit report. So that has been received. We also have our MS-535, which is the financial report of the town, and this is one that we need to sign. So typically entertain a motion to sign the MS-535 when that comes in. Dick, you-
I would make that motion to
Okay,
accept the
great.
MS 535.
And I'll second that motion. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, very good. Thank you. Couple late additions to the agenda under new items was 6E. We have 2 intent to cut permits. And one is for map R30, lot 417, and that is, lots 4 and 17. A little right there, very good. And that is for the New England Forestry Foundation. And we also have an intent to cut for Forest Service land, and that's around map R12 somewhere.
There are a handful of them that we're gonna jot down, but they don't, you can just say US Forest Service.
Yeah, it's U.S. Forest Service land, very good. Okay. So those are the 2 intent to cut
And that one was Jackson's Key Journal.
permits. Thank you. Yeah.
So is Jackson Ski Touring, this one?
Yeah. Yeah, on Forest Service land.
Yeah.
All right. Do we need to make a motion on those? I can never remember. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to,
I will make that motion to accept those intent to cut documents.
very good. I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Do I have to sign it too?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And then the other item under new business that was added late here and didn't make the draft agenda that we printed out was that we've been asked to make mention of a Take a Walk in Our Shoes, which is a walk to support the Mount Washington Valley Recovery Coalition. That's going to take place on Sunday, September 18th. Starts at Schuler Park, goes from 12 to 2. It's a fundraiser. So that'll be posted on Jackson E-News as well. I'll leave that right in the, we just got that today, right, or something, so. Very good. All right. Old business. We have some transfer station updates. The transfer station planning committee just met. They met yesterday at 1 o'clock. And I think we're going to leave that up. Might as well just leave it in here since we have it. And that's, you know, what we're looking at for the finished product of the transfer station renovation project. And this is phase 1. where we've got the road going in and the dump stalls and pouring the concrete footing for a push out back. And so, at the meeting yesterday, they discussed how the temporary recycling and traffic is functioning. There were two concerns: aluminum and tin barrels far from the central recycling area, which has been moved over so they can put in the road and work on the concrete corrals, and that the dump bed trailers obstruct traffic flow. So they felt like those were bigger concerns before people kind of learn their way around, but they're going to keep an eye on that, continue to keep an eye on that. They've reviewed some of the unfinalized details of construction, including unloading the dump bed trailers and some other things like that. John typically gives this report, but he was under the weather today. Potentially looking at probably end up delaying the base paving until next spring, which will allow settlement to occur. I think everybody on the committee is in agreement on that. And then taking a look at the parking stop options as far as what they want to put in. Do they want to put in a piece of granite there to stop cars from going up into the sorting area, or do they want to do rubber wheel stops? So they talked about that. And so I think that really the phase one is on track to be done before winter sets in, is the bottom line here. They're meeting as necessary, and they felt they needed a meeting this week to kind of regroup after the first bit of effort there, and that's where we're at with it. You got a copy of that. I don't know if you had time to really go through it.
I didn't, I just picked it up, but do you want to speak about the clothing box that's going to be put at the transfer station?
The Planet Aid
Yeah.
box, yeah, that's going in. Now, the Planet Aid box has been there, or hasn't been there.
I don't think it's been there.
I think they have, they're contracting with Bartlett on that, and they had to go to one town or the other, and they have told Bartlett that they normally pay 5 cents I don't know if that's 5 cents a pound or bundle or whatever, but Planet Aid has had very a reduced ability to collect in the North Country, or they're not bringing in as much in the way of recycled clothing as they thought, and so their expenses are up and the revenues are down. And so Bartlett asked us how we felt about a reduced payback on that, and I didn't have any problem with it. You know, they were going to really be looking to compensate less for what they were going to take out of there than they otherwise would have if they were taking more product out of the North Country. So that's the update I got on that. Anything else on the transfer station that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think it's a great effort. I think it really helped recycling.
Yeah, and that's increasing efficiency for the recycling area and improving traffic flow were the two goals of the renovation, for sure. Questions, comments, anything about the transfer station? Who wants to go first?
George, go ahead first.
No, I listened to your description of what's going on, and I can't put that to that chart. Is there any way you can show on that chart what phase one is and kind of where we're at? That's the whole thing when you're planned to be done, as I understand it. But can you outline on there what phase one is made up of?
I'll just spend a little bit of time up here and go through this. And this is the chart you looked at the town meeting. And so if you got a chance to see it then, you're probably fairly familiar with it. Phase one is putting in the road. Initially, phase one was also going to be paving that road. It's setting up parking, and it is installing concrete barriers so that we've got recycling stalls, and it's putting in a sorting counter.
Say that again, please.
and it's putting in a sorting counter. So you'll be parking here and you'll be unloading your recyclables into the sorting areas here, okay? And this, in phase one, also includes a retaining wall that's being poured here for a bump out that's gonna be connected with phase two, because we'll be collecting cardboard and paper through openings here in this bump out rather than in the front. Okay, so, and none of the phases are going to be impacting where you dump your refuse. That is going to stay the same. So you're going to come in, you're going to get rid of what you need in the crusher, you're going to go around, park, recycle, and then out. And the purpose for having traffic flow go this way was so, as opposed to this way, because then somebody's here trying to make a left turn and traffic's coming up the hill, and so everybody felt like this was a much more efficient way to handle the traffic. Okay? And so phase two is going to be an awning that is going to cover all this. We're not going to get to the awning in year one. You know, that's what we're going to be asking the town to support in year two. Okay? But it looks like we may end up with an extra baler this year. And if we do, then we'll be able to fashion this so that we can actually, you know, take some steps to bale everything that we're gonna be collecting. We haven't been baling paper. I haven't been baling plastic. And those are the goals for phase one. All right? And in addition, your aluminum cans and your tin cans are also going to be sorted at this counter rather than put in a rolling container. All right? That's the down and dirty. Was that enough?
That's great, I
Okay,
appreciate it.
great.
A follow-on question as far as what is in the budget for phase one and how are we doing?
Well, our number for phase one was $107,661, which included the $19,000 for paving, which isn't going to happen in year one. So we're really coming in right in budget. And the labor was an unknown because we all agreed we were going to have town staff from the highway departments up there providing work and you know, trying to rent the equipment that they needed that they didn't have. So I think that's really the gist of what John's report was going to be this afternoon. If there's any other questions, and I think we've really agreed that we want to keep transfer station updates under old business and just kind of mention what's going on up there for as long as phase one is going.
Thank you.
Is that 107, is that combined budget of the two towns, or is that Jackson?
Well, that was the estimate for the work. Each town submitted a warrant article at the town meeting for $60,000. So we actually have $120,000 to do this work. All right. 7B is public bathrooms. If you were here at our last meeting, that came up. We had some folks express concern about the lack of public bathrooms in town. We have reached out to a couple of different folks in town to gauge interest of whether or not they would be interested in allowing the fact that they have bathrooms to be posted somewhere. Someone suggested at the meeting a sign. We've also heard in the past that there are more signs in this town than some people would like to see. We also had suggestions to look at portable units, and so we priced those out. We also had suggestions to look at the storage down at the park, the storage building that also has a bathroom in it. And so We don't have figures in on what that would cost to secure that. That would take some renovation work. And then it would be a question of who would be cleaning it and how much would we be charged if we did that. The portable units, we got one company to just kind of cost it out for us, so we had an idea of what we were talking about. I mean, obviously, there doesn't seem to be a need for public restrooms to be open in the winter. We only have like so many months here. It seems like it really, the heavy use period is Memorial Day to Columbus Day, roughly, as far as foot traffic around town. Portable units, the price quote we got from the one company we looked at was $213 to install, and that's what the charge would be for the first month. And after that, it would be $159 a month, and that includes cleaning it once a week. So that's where we are with it. And unless I missed some of the stuff we said we were gonna look at last meeting, that's all I really have for that. You have any thoughts on it?
Well, on the porta potties, at least you can locate them where the population density is. Obviously, the Falls has, I think, the most visitors. I don't see that the dugout over here is going to serve a good purpose. One, you lose all the storage that it would be now. Okay, B, you may disagree with what I'm saying, but I'm going to finish my thought, if I could. The porta potties, they're not the most scenic thing, but they're really functional. And they, as I said, they can be placed where we need them the most. So I think it's a good option, because I don't think the town is going to create a central bathroom facility. I mean, that would be, I guess, just put in a septic and the whole thing, and heat it and clean it. So the porta potties, I think, would certainly satisfy us for a while.
And that would be
Thank you.
roughly 4 cleanings a month included in that $159 cost. I think they come and empty it once a week and clean it when they're here, and that's how that goes. It was Edith Houlihan that had suggested we look into porta-johns. She's had good experiences with them when she's biked around in certain areas. And she took the time to take a couple of pictures of porta-johns. One at Ken Brett's school in Tamworth. I'm not sure where the other one is, but in her mind, they're not unsightly at all. Did we, was somebody in touch with somebody from the Conservation Commission about a portable unit at the falls?
Not officially.
Okay, not officially, but they were aware we were looking into this for the
It
town.
was a mention.
And that the falls had also been a mention?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to get some official response from them between now and the next meeting on that. I don't know if anybody is in here that wants to be part of a committee or group to take a further look at this, but that's kind of what we came up with for an initial effort at understanding what our options were. We sent an email out to the school. We've contacted the library and not gotten a response, or did we?
We're back in.
Okay, and also a couple of private businesses in town as well, so haven't heard anything back from people we've contacted on that. B,
Did you talk to the forestry if you're going to put it up the falls?
we haven't gotten any.
They have sort of authority on that.
Yeah, well, it's a scenic river, it's a scenic road, we've got a lot of issues up there that could be potential barriers, so that's a good point. Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the point where we feel like we want to pursue it, but if we do, you're absolutely right, there are other agencies involved.
They can camouflage them, you know, but I don't like to see porta potties around either, except I think there is a real need for one up at the falls, but, you know, you could put a fence in or something, but I don't know if anybody read the Eaton column last week. I read it because a friend of mine writes it, and they have porta potties on the beach that they have a problem with. They find drug paraphernalia in there, and people are throwing beer, I guess you can't suction them if there's beer cans and stuff. So I wonder if we did have porta potties, is there any way to secure them at night, you know? No.
I don't know, but we can ask, so.
I wonder about like a fence or something.
Yeah.
Lock it up or something like that.
Okay, very good. I think that the beauty of the porta potties is that there isn't a time commitment, walking a fence or whatever, but, you know, I would imagine whatever we wanted to do, we could. Any other comments? Yeah, B?
Yeah, Dick, why don't you think the dugout would be useful? That's quite large, you know. And where they have the shelves on one side, it wouldn't take much to put a petition up and lock it. And you'd still have plenty of room.
Okay, because I know
Have you been in
it's
it?
got a sink.
It's got a sink, the sink's on, the bathroom is on that side.
Right,
The
the water's
trash
on-
can. It's quite large. And my God, if you have a problem, I'll clean the damn thing.
What's your number?
Okay, so, and
Hank, you missed your spot to move that camera around and get that. Say that again, a little louder. Fair enough.
That's all right.
You can see it watching down there with
Other comments on the bathroom issue? Yeah, Gino?
Just wondering, has there been any thought given to the possibility of the library, if it's open, this hallway, if it's locked out, there's a bathroom here, the fire station, and there's a couple of other places, the garage, I mean, there are all kinds of places, public toilets here, that people could use and the town crew could clean afterwards. But I mean, that's something to think of, I think, and maybe even the golf club over here, or something, and putting a, porta potty somewhere over there in Upper Falls. But right in here, you've got places you can use, plus that one at the park here is really nice. And they spent $30,000 on it, it's not what it was before.
No, I'm really familiar with it, and I think the issue we have with the park is, or the agreement we have is that's where sports equipment is stored, and that the coaches have the combinations, and they can use it when they have sporting practices and events down there. And that's not to say that anything you've mentioned is not an option, but we've approached the library. We're certainly easy enough for us to identify hours here, and bathroom use has never been denied when the place has been open. We've approached the Whitney Center. We've approached the Wentworth Golf Course, but we don't have responses back at this time, is what I said. Yeah, so, but I think there's some consideration being given. I mean, the Whitney Center in the middle of August isn't the easiest time to get a rapid response, but I'm sure we'll hear back. All right, so item 7C is up next. Thank you for the input on the public bathroom. Geese issue at the pond was also brought up 2 weeks ago. What we do know is that there has been, we spoke to Law Enforcement Division of New Hampshire Fish and Game. There is no state RSA or law that prohibits people from feeding geese. And we also spoke to the United States Department of Agriculture, Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. And they said there's no federal law prohibiting feeding wild animals, that including geese. Both entities reminded us that the town could pass an ordinance that could be enforced locally if the town so chose, but right now there is no federal or state law that prohibits the feeding of geese in town or wild animals, so I'm not sure where your thoughts are with that, Dick. I mean, we talked about posting a sign down there, but it would be a request that we couldn't enforce.
I just wrote a note on that. I think that's all we can do at the present is just suggest to people that they help us out with this and not feed the geese. If they're not getting fed, maybe they won't hang out there. They do eat grass, I mean, they like golf courses, and that's another place where there are problems. I mean, there's golf courses that have the boom machine that sets off a loud boom every whatever. And I don't think that would be acceptable in downtown Jackson. It'd be scaring the tourists away, but, you know, I think we start off with a sign and just say, you know, see if we can get people to cooperate.
You're in favor of putting up a sign?
I would be.
Could you work with Julie to come up with some wording, and we could pass it around here between meetings, and if we're satisfied with the wording? I don't think those signs take too long to craft. That'll be an action item. All right, fair enough.
Is that the anti-goose sign?
Yeah. We respectfully ask you to refrain, to not feed geese, blah, blah, blah. Comment, Joyce?
What's that, when I drove by yesterday, I think there's a big pile of dirt or something that was mounded up in front of the pond. I didn't know, I thought maybe they didn't know there was a loader just scraping the surface down there for the goose, the geese messes. I don't know. What that is?
That wasn't related to the geese. I think that's just kind of regular dredging maintenance to keep those inlets out.
The pond looked
Yeah,
low.
egress, yeah.
Your pond's going down.
It is.
Stan, comment?
Is an ordinance something you would consider? Don't feed the geese or?
Citizens are more than welcome to put together ordinances. It's not the time of year where we consider ordinances, but if we had requests from citizens for us to look into an ordinance, I'm certainly not averse to it. It's certainly nothing that we would be looking at any sooner than next March, obviously.
Does it have to start with citizens? I'm just curious.
What's that?
Could you,
Put it on a warrant.
sui generis, do it yourself without citizens asking for an ordinance or anything?
We can't create an ordinance.
You cannot.
No, it's got to be approved by the legislative body.
Yeah, but you could put one together and
Maybe
the
put it on the
townspeople vote.
If there was interest in us pursuing that, or we decided to do that on our own, we absolutely could. Like, we haven't had those discussions. It's not kind of ordinance season where we're looking at our town warrant right now. But if that's something that the people in the room want us to do, we'll be happy to do that. I mean, I'm a big fan of looking at other ordinances in other towns and finding ordinances that would pertain and that work well and are efficient and effective, and taking it from there, seeing if they can fit into Jackson. One last comment.
Yeah, and I must admit, now that I find out it's not a crime, I've been feeding geese for years down at Sterling. I think what the problem is now, I only feed them cracked crushed corn. It's like $25 a bag, and I buy several bags a year. And I haven't feeding them for the last few weeks because of this brouhaha of potential arrest, detention, and gassing, whatever. And there is a sign down there that says, don't feed wild animals against the law, something like that, so that should be removed. And
Sign where?
down at the pond, right here, at the path.
Oh.
I think the reason there's a lot more geese there this year is because the other pond is Storyland is polluted, and all the ducks and geese have left. That's probably why there's generally in one family, probably 7 or 8 of them, but this year there's about 40. But I will begin feeding them again until the law changes. But I don't give them a lot, they don't poop too much from it. But don't scare them with the sun, because if they're flying and start pooping, that's like kamikaze.
Sir?
I was the one that I think might have mentioned about the geese, and my biggest concern is it's a place, as you say, where tourists come, they bring their children, the children used to fish in the pond, and I was just concerned that I thought the mess that the geese leave behind is not the most attractive thing for parents and young children that are playing in the park.
So you would be in favor of an ordinance, is that what you're saying? Okay. Let's go right to public comments. Agenda item 8. Any other public comments tonight? George?
Just a technical thing, Bob. You referred to an intent to cut as a permit. It is not a permit.
It's an intent.
Thank you. Any other, yeah, GB?
Are you sending on hazardous waste day someone from the transfer station? Because they usually request a rep from each town to help them.
I think
Okay.
John has usually gone in the past.
Okay, we'll look into that. Comments?
The only comment I would have is in the use of non-public sessions. And as you know, I went to court a couple of years ago to try to slow the town down in the non-public sessions. You know, I was on the board with Dick for a couple of years, Pete for 3 years or 4 years, and a couple others. And over the course of, I want to say over the course of 8 years or so, maybe even more with Dick, we hardly ever had a non-public session. I think, Dick, if you think back, I don't know if you could, do you ever remember having one? So, I mean, I just don't understand, there were ways to exclude something that's personal to an individual or something about a pay rate, whatever. But to have them every 2 weeks, sometimes, you guys are having 25 to 50 a year. We had 6 in about 8 years. Now, we had problems too, there were commotions, there were upsets, there were this and that, but never like this. So I don't know, maybe you get an opinion, I know you won't answer this, but do you get an opinion from your attorney every 2 weeks to say, you know, should we run this thing in non-public? Because you've also taken all your own notes, and I think, Dick, you might even think a little stance of that, that, you know, that if you've got two selectmen on, and there's no one taking notes but one of the selectmen, and you're both voting to close the file. I'm not even suggesting there's anything towards, but it just is not in keeping with the open laws that we've had in this state for 100 years, or 200 years. It's just food for thought.
There are open laws, but there are also privacy issues. And when you get to speaking about personnel issues, you have to observe some privacy. And the way to do that is to go into a non-public session. So, yeah, I think there's more scrutiny on the whole thing now. I think all aspects of the town government are more closely watched, but I still think you have to observe an individual's right to privacy.
No, I don't disagree with that either.
Other comments? Dave?
I think it was my impression that the town of Jackson's not losing any police coverage, even though you're down an officer and a half. Was that because the sheriff's office is kind of filling in the gaps, or
Not physically, no.
or the officers were working officer overtime?
More, yeah. Other comments?
Is that, and that's going to stay within the budget?
Yeah,
Okay. Because there was one officer that wasn't hired?
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Last chance. No public comments? I'll entertain a motion to go into non-public session.
Yes, I would entertain that motion.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Thank you all for coming. We're glad.